It's the early 1860s in the United States of America. Telegraph lines stretch across the East Coast, stopping in St. Joseph, Missouri. This caused an extreme delay in communication across the country. Receiving or sending a message took, at the very least, 4 weeks. Pressure for a better system increased once California was ceded by Mexico in 1848. In 1854, the War Department offered a 2-year contract for freight companies for transportation of military materials to Western outposts. William Russell and William Waddell took upon the opportunity, founding the company and future monopoly, Waddell and Russell. One of the employees, Benjamin Ficklin, while riding with California Senator, had suggested a transportation system utilizing quick horses and riders, but nothing happened initially. As the business grew, the firm hired another owner to help maintain the monopoly. Enter Alexander Majors. As an already reliable freighter, Majors fit in quickly, and soon the company switched from Waddell and Russell to Russell, Majors, and Waddell. With their combined forces, the three formed the Central Overland California and Pikes Peak Express Company, now called the Pony Express. In the beginning, the Pony Express was actually a very popular idea with the public. Before its creation, mail would take weeks or even months to send. Needless to say, when the people started hearing about a newer and quicker way to send mail, they were very excited. News of the upcoming first ride swiftly spread throughout the entire country. When the time came, entire crowds gathered around in St. Joseph just to view the departure of the riders. Then, just 10 days after, when the riders arrived at their destination in Sacramento, they were yet again greeted with even more crowds of people. To them, the riders were recognized as national heroes. They were considered a special class of citizens. We later decided to contact Cindy Daffron, the executive director of the Pony Express National Museum, on the topic of the Pony Express.
Many families have been disappointed that their rider that carried the mail into San Francisco was not hired by the Pony Express.
Unfortunately, the company itself didn't gain as much traction. Due to the unaffordable nature of the deliveries, most people just couldn't send letters through the system. At the end of its 18-month duration, they only managed to send 400 letters, which were mainly just newspapers and other important documents.
Every mail bag or mochila had a waybill in it, and they knew when it left where that waybill went. To my knowledge, there was only one mail bag that never got delivered.
As better options released, the Pony Express met an abrupt end. Mark Twain, the father of American literature, described his account of encountering a Pony Express rider in his book, Rough It. The following is an excerpt from the account. The Pony Rider was a man. No matter what time of day or night his watch came on, whether it was winter or summer, raining, snowing, hailing, or sleeting, he must be always ready to leap into the saddle and be off like the wind. There was no idling time for a pony rider on duty. He rode 50 miles without stopping, by daylight, moonlight, starlight, or through the blackness of darkness. As he came crashing up to the station where stood two men holding fast a fresh, impatient steed, the transfer of rider and mailbag was made in the twinkling of an eye, and away flew the eagle pair and were out of sight before the spectator could hardly get the ghost of a look. Telegraphs originally stopped in St. Joseph, leaving a large communication gap between the coasts of the U.S. The Pony Express sought to provide a solution to this issue, and that's what they did.
We know that when the mail really became successful getting across the whole country is when the railway was there about 8 years later. That vast communication of transferring from a horse and a rider to the telegraph for an instant message only could only be replaced when there was finally a direct way. So I think it established for small towns to get mail, faster, which was a goal.
However, in 1861, the first transcontinental telegraph was built, effectively putting the Pony Express out of business. Contrary to popular belief, famed William Frederick Buffalo Bill Cody was most likely not a rider for the Pony Express.
We say that Buffalo Bill did something. He could have been a relief rider. I'm not sure. A lot of stories are embellished. A lot of things were told. When Majors was dying, Buffalo Bill said, "You took care of my family when I needed it. I'll take care of you." So we do know there was some level of something. He could have worked at one of the stations and been a station keeper, broke a horse. But as far as being a rider, he weighed too much. One of the criteria was they had to weigh 125 pounds.
His relations with the Pony Express were in his works, one being his worldwide tour and later recorded show Buffalo Bill's Wild West.
One of the things Buffalo Bill did was actually help those people financially, survive at a time that was a very difficult time. He hired many pony riders that left. They were in the shows. Country did not have direct ways. They didn't have the media. They didn't have the television. When Buffalo Bill really started doing what? He hired the writers, he had them perform in those shows. They started going to little towns. They didn't just go to big cities. I really think that story right there is what really kept the Pony Express alive, because they talked about how the Pony Riders did what they did, how the love of what they took care of. Buffalo Bill and those guys combined did a great thing in keeping the history alive. The only reason that the Pony Express is as strong as it is today is because of the legacy of Buffalo Bill.
The show paid homage to the Pony Express, exaggerating much of an actual rider's experience.
So as you can see how people embellished what they heard, sounds much better if we said there were orphans preferred, and they just wanted men to ride on that route.
Rather than heated battles and conflicts with Native Americans, what was more memorable to riders were the long periods of isolation and unbearable cold.
Billy Fisher rode until he was so tired the snow was hitting him in the face. He got out and sat underneath a tree, wrote a letter to Mabel Loving that said on January 24th, 1861, "I was absolutely so tired I got off. Hadn't been for the rabbit that hopped on my lap, I would not be a rider as I am today." Buffalo Bill is the reason the Pony Express is so proudly remembered in such a kind way.
The ones who died often were not the riders, but instead the people manning the checkpoints along the path.
When there was a lone station keeper with 3 horses and himself, why do you think the Indians showed up and burned out and took him or killed him? They were only after the ponies, because our ponies were the fast. We made money with them, so we took care of them.
Although not accurate, these stretched truths shape today's legends of the Pony Express. The legends of the Pony Express have stretched far and wide now, spawning many pieces of media in reference to the past service.
Learning it and being able to interpret that story and tell it is a passion of mine, and keep it going alive as it would have been, as truthfully as we know. I daily, yearly, and in my 16 years have got to meet generations of family. They had pony riders, when they come in here, how important it was for them to be a pony rider, the stories that they tell.
During our investigation on the topic, our group visited the Pony Express National Historic Trail in Salt Lake City, Utah. We not only found a statue made in honor of the Pony Express, but also a replica of a station from 2002 when Salt Lake City hosted the Olympics. All in all, despite its somewhat lacking past, to this day, the Pony Express is still fondly remembered by people all around the globe.